Join Daryl McCance and Yvette Walker each Tuesday at 4 p.m. on ABC News Radio, KMET, and Internet KMET TV for the Southern California Business Report. The show highlights successful businesses and individuals behind them. Daryl and Yvette interview the incredible people managing these enterprises that range from awe-inspiring sole proprietors to world-renowned organizations. The Southern California Business Report, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. on KMET AM, FM, and Internet KMET TV.
Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them, with Daryl McCance and Yvette Walker. And now, here's Daryl and Yvette.
Thank you for joining the Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV with Yvette Walker and myself, Daryl McCance. We are live, blasting our signal from the center of Southern California, the Inland Empire, Orange County, and the greater Los Angeles area to our west, the Desert Empire all the way to Arizona to our east, Riverside, Temecula Valley, all the way to San Diego to our south, and our beautiful mountain communities, Upper Desert, all the way to State Line to Nevada. To the north, get us crystal clear live worldwide by going to Google Play or Apple App Store and downloading the free KMET smartphone app today. We focus each week on successful businesses in Southern California and the people behind them, serving a local population of nearly 25 million in all 10 counties. Today's show focuses on the business and secrets of Southern California's education sector. And as a little tease, we've talked about some very successful colleges in the region. And today we're going to go right to the basics from kindergarten right on up. I won't say too much or I'll get in trouble. But before we begin, special thanks to our team, Mitch, Bill, and Sean at the station, and our amazing advisory group, Bill Morris from UC Irvine, Jay Kaplan, catch his show on Fridays at 3 p.m., Camila Rubio, Diana Cavallo, and James Carvin. Special thanks to last week's guest, Dr. Udemy, a oncologist and hematologist at City of Hope, where we talked about breast cancer. And wow, was there some secrets and some great news and some exciting things on that front. And at the end of this show, Yvette Walker will talk to you about how to get that downloaded. If you didn't hear it live, you would definitely want to go back and get that update. As customary, Yvette Walker will introduce this week's special guest. Yvette, the microphone is all yours.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Daryl. And today I am just incredibly privileged and excited and looking forward to speaking to Miss Monica Ayala. She is the new Executive Director for Promise Scholars. She comes from the Ontario-Montclair School District, where she served as Principal of Euclid Elementary for the past 8 years. She has 23 years of education experience prior to her role as principal. She served the Euclid community as an instructional coach, as well as an elementary administrator. Ayala is the oldest of 4 children and the first in her family to graduate from college. She strives to provide all students under her care the same educational opportunities and experiences that she desires for her own 3 school-age children. Monica is so grateful and appreciative of the students, families, Promise Scholars Organization, and the Ontario-Montclair School District for giving her the opportunity to lead the work of Promise Scholars. And she says, there is truly nothing more rewarding than playing a role in helping any child realize their true potential. Since 2011, Promise Scholars has served more than 20,000 students each year by bringing parents, businesses, educators, and local leaders together to invest in the future by introducing all kids to the opportunities available after high school and making sure they get on the education pathway to achieve their goals. Because of the promise agreement that was signed by the superintendents of Ontario-Montclair School District and Chaffey Joint Union High School District and presidents of Chaffey College and CSU San Bernardino students have a place in college waiting for them at the following partner colleges: Chaffey College, Cal State University San Bernardino, the University of Laverne, Cal Poly Pomona, CSU Bakersfield, University of Redlands, and Azusa Pacific. To learn more about the Promise Scholars Foundation, please remember to log on to promisescholars.org. Thank you so much for joining us today, Monica.
Thank you for having me. I am just elated to sit here with you and share all about our great work in Promise Scholars.
Great.
So, yes.
You know our background. So what we want you to do before we jump into the organization, take us back on your personal story, because the fact that you're serving, as Yvette said, 20,000 young people from kindergarten all the way up, and we'll get into those details. But we want you to be a little selfish for a minute and go back, because we want to know what is inspiring you to take on this role. This is a big deal, and you're impacting a lot of small people, and you're succeeding. When the listeners find out that nationwide recently, we were looking at the numbers plus or minus 20%, and the last reporting, we were over 80% with your group. So before we get into those details, let's talk about you personally. Let's go back, and how is it that you decided that this is what your passion was, especially, and Yvette always throws this question out, for other people that are behind you that are going to want to take and consider what you do for a living. So let's go back a little bit and talk about some of those things that are real exciting about your past and how you got from there to here. So let's start there.
Well, thank you. I am truly a blessed soul. That's what I say. I come from immigrant parents who were very hardworking, and I had a very humble upbringing. I was born here, but my parents separated, and I lived in Tijuana, Mexico, from the time I was 5 to the time I was almost 11. Upon my return, I've always wanted to be a teacher. I used to play with my little brothers, and then when they would play with me, I would play with my dolls and pretend I was a teacher. And although my parents couldn't really help me with homework, as so many of our students have great parents, but they're not able to help, they've always instilled in me that education was the key to success, and to work hard. And I was very fortunate in 7th grade to have, oh my gosh, my English teacher at Audubon Junior High. I remember the Escalante movie, Stand and Deliver, had just came out, and she spoke to me, and she said, "¿Tienes ganas?" Ganas. Oh, ganas. Yes, of course. And so she, taught me a saying. It said, I study hard, I work a lot, successful I will be. And I said that saying to myself from middle school all the way to college. And I never forgot her and the impact that she made upon me. Again, our teachers are great. They are here to inspire. Once I became an elementary school teacher, I loved it. I loved teaching students, and I taught primary, 1st grade. And in my different roles then as instructional coach, moving to Ontario-Montclair, and really, serving my community. And I had the opportunity to serve as an assistant principal, elementary administrator, and then principal. I really enjoyed, what I did, and how I did it, and how I work with the community. But it's never an I by myself. It really takes a community and collective efforts. And that's one of the things that really fascinated me about Promise Scholars. As a principal, I had Promise Scholars. I had, a wonderful, our first really director, Leslie Sorensen, on our campus, and really would share principals meetings about Promise Scholars, and it always intrigued me. And once she was set to retire and I was selected for the role, and as I sat with her and she shared her stories, I said, "Gosh, Leslie, I wish I would have known more about Promise Scholars." And she's like, "Well, that's your job now, to ensure that other people know more about Promise Scholars and other administrators." So that's a little bit about my humble beginnings, my passions, and really wanting to still and do what my own children have. I want all of our students to have and more.
And how many siblings do you have?
I have three. I have three younger brothers. So yes, I'm the bossy older sister.
Right. So you actually you started with a classroom of three. I bet
Yes,
your brothers would
yes,
tell. Yeah,
And her dolls,
yes.
right? 3 and her dolls.
that's great. So, Yvette, should we let her off the hook? Should we let her start talking about the program?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Now you can tell the listeners, Monica, about the program.
Oh my gosh. Promise Scholars is a universal college access program that helps and support all of the students in Ontario-Montclair and our high school students. We bring community together to ensure that our students get on the pathway after high school. We really introduce our students to that passion for college, the knowing that they're promised scholars so that they can achieve their goals. We really bring community together. We have partners at our college, community partners, and really takes collective efforts to ensure that we help students become successful. In turn, we want to ensure that we help all of our region because we have the potential to be great, not only our scholars, but our region together. And that is really what's behind, Promise Scholars, to really improve, for students to improve their own lives, for them to become contributing members of our society and to come back into our communities and really work here in Ontario-Montclair to really give back so that we can improve our region, our entire region.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love the fact that it's working. And when we look at the statistics, side by side surrounding areas, they are absolutely dramatic. They're striking, and they make anybody with school-age children, think about, hey, what is going on over there? That is definitely a program I want my child to be a part of. It doesn't cost anything to parents, but the value in it is tremendous. Can you please talk about some of those statistics that we can get excited about, that every parent can really, embrace and have it resonate with them and their children as they look forward for their future?
Of course. We had 82% of our high school seniors who came in contact with Promise Scholars, who received our assistance from our Promise Scholars staff members, our Americorps members. And in a moment, I'll talk a little bit more about that, through either Zoom or through one-on-one phone calls, any interaction. 82% of them enrolled immediately into a college, 82% of them. When we look nationwide, of students with, low SES, low performing, low income students, nationally, only 21% moves on to.
Is the average. Oh
yes,
my goodness.
The average. We also looked, one of the great things that we look at our high schools are the percentage of students who apply for a FAFSA or the DREAM Act. And so when the program began in 2011, we were looking at the 30s in the three high schools that we support. In a moment, I'll talk a little bit about that. But prior to the pandemic, they were in the high 50s, and so definitely increasing the amount of students who are applying to college, who are applying for financial aid, and are going through the steps. That's one of the things. One of the secrets is if your parents are not college graduates, if they didn't go through the program, you're in this by yourself. And the way everything works with the applications, the deadlines, the checking in your portals, a lot of those are extra steps that our young scholars wouldn't have the help and support, wouldn't know what to do. But with Promise Scholars, they're by their side. They actually have real people answering. And I'll talk in a minute about, whether it's phone call or text messages, the text nudges, they're able to support our scholars to ensure they're enrolling in college. I would say that today I had a meeting with my team members, and they were on Signavine, and they were texting a student who had just received a letter from, I believe, one of our local Cal states, and it showed that she had debt, and she was freaking out. She's like, I don't know, I owe so much money. I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. I'm not going to be able to enroll. My staff immediately, all three of them, were jumping in, answering, letting her know, no, you need to go into your letter, your award letter. Look at the amount. Look at when it's going to be dispersed. You're going to be okay. At the end, they were teaching her self-efficacy skills. They were telling her where to look, what to do, how to respond so that in turn she can help yourself. And that was just this afternoon. And so I was just really amazed at the fact that our scholars have, people behind them to really help them and support them every step of the way. And that's impressive.
For those that just tuned in, we are with Monica Ayala, the director of Promise Scholars, an exciting program that's affecting children from kindergarten all the way up. And there's an old saying that people do not plan to fail, they fail to plan. And time goes by so fast. Yvette Walker and we talk about how fast these kids are growing up. I've got my youngest in college. She's got hers, oldest about to go to college. And it feels like the whole process happened in 5 minutes. So the fact that you are putting a supportive, positive, people that are listening in right now can feel the positive energy and the passion that you have. And of course, that's contagious. So thank you for that, by the way. But if you could paint a picture, because Yvette and I recently had a chance to see this organization and the level of detail and the fact that the cost is $0.00, and that it just starts to put those seeds in the minds of these young people and their parents and start to get the obstacles moved away. Because it doesn't matter who we are, all of us, when the minute we see the sticker price, you go look at a house like, oh my God, I can't afford that, or a car. We all have the same reaction. And then once we figure out what the options are and that things are far less expensive than you think, but you have to be patient and you have to go and understand the process, which of course, until you've been through it a million times, like your team and yourself have, it's uncomfortable. So paint a picture for the listeners. You have a kindergartner. Their parents get the first contact from Promise Scholars, you and your team. What does that look like? And then let's kind of slowly just move up and paint a picture for someone that's never heard of Promise Scholars. Let's paint a picture because as Yvette said, University of Laverne and the Cal States and the community college system, the fact that you have all of this plugged in, and 82% of your graduating seniors from high school immediately went to get the skills that they need for their career. It's just so much fun. So paint a picture of a kindergartner. Their parents find out about Promise Scholars, and let's start there because there's nothing cuter than kindergartners.
Oh my gosh, kindergarten is great. But immediately, if you were to, so Promise Scholars, we're available from the moment kindergarten starts. So our kindergartens, I was just meeting with some parents over the weekend. There was a community event, and I was speaking about Promise Scholars. I'm like, did you know your child's a Promise Scholar from the moment they enter kindergarten? They're like, no, how does that work? So I let them know that from the moment they walk into kindergarten, from kindergarten first, second, third to fourth, there will be a week-long message lessons that will incorporate in their reading program, and they would talk about careers, their college, their aspirations, so that scholars can start learning and hearing you are a scholar. The expectation is that you will be a college, that you'll have a career beyond or a certificate. Once that scholar goes to fifth grade, every fifth grade scholar gets a blue T-shirt, just like the one in the background. They get a blue T-shirt, and they get to visit a 2-year community college. They go on a visit. They visit labs. They visit classrooms. They're scholars. They're high school. They're college staff members and college students answering questions for the first time. Many of them, it's the first time they went on a field trip, but for them, it will be the first time ever setting foot on a college campus. Wow. And one of the things last week, we were there at our alt retreat. We heard from, the amazing motivational speaker, Eric Bowles, talking about how do you inspire, how do you teach students? Well, you just take them. Well, that's what Promise Scholars makes possible. They go on this field trip. They attend lessons. A lot of them, they visit labs. And again, they get to experience college for the very first time. Then that scholar moves on to sixth grade. Then guess what? We have sixth grade business leader presenters. So members from our community, from our local businesses, they are happy to send volunteers. They're happy to send members from their companies to come in and speak to our sixth graders. They can talk about their background, just like I did, speak about their college going experience, what they majored in, and then they get to share about their skills and what they do at work. They get to show pictures. They can bring definitely a PowerPoint with them, and many times we'll ask, how do you use either math, how do you use language arts, and what you do? Because for many of our students is that real world application. Will I apply this in my future job? So we do let our presenters know, like, what are the skills that you were learning when you were in the primary grades? What are those skills that you are currently applying now? Now, after sixth grade, in eighth grade, once they're on to middle school, all of our scholars, again, they receive their blue shirts and they visit a 4-year university. For many of them, this is the first time that they're hearing words like major. What is your major? What is a major? And so they get to learn about that. They get to tour the college. They get to have their questions answered by staff members and professors. And guess what? They're college students, because they want to know, what is it like, right, to be a college student? And so they get to experience that. Now, we are, the third largest, K-8 elementary school district, Ontario-Montclair. Our students then promote on to Chaffey Joint Union High School District. So we work together with them. We partner. And so all of our ninth graders will receive what we call a True Colors personality assessment, where they talk about their personalities and potential careers that they can have based on their personalities. And again, they have volunteers. We have volunteers from the community, local college volunteers that go in and help and support to answer their questions. And so again, we're there at the high schools. And in a moment, I'll talk a little bit about the Americorps, who are also there at the high school providing services. And then 11th and 12th grade, there is a lot of support with financial aid. How do you apply for colleges? We have something called Opportunity Scholarships, like a game board. And it really shows the different steps. There are different steps along the way, from applying for your financial aid to applying to colleges. And at every one of those steps, our seniors have the opportunity to win, small scholarships, $500, $1,000 scholarships. Wow. At the end, we had over 30 students who had completed all of the steps, all the 9 steps. And one lucky student, very fortunate, Nancy Thomas, she actually received a $10,000 scholarship. She's going to Santa Barbara. Oh, my. Super elated, very worried, was very concerned about how she was going to, pay for college. Then she receives this scholarship, and her mom, she gave the best interview, like, thank you for helping, thank you for supporting, just very appreciative. And again, and the program doesn't end there, because we follow our students up to their first year in college. They can continue texting us. There are resources if there's other questions they may have. They know about tutoring services at their college. They're referred. So our staff are texting them and supporting them and Zooming with them if they need to, or phone calls. So it's really that support from the moment you're in kindergarten till you're out. So it's really increasing that K-12 or that K-16 pipeline. That's our goal.
Oh, that's amazing, Monica. It's so exciting. And I love that you have, honed in on the exposure, created a framework of navigation that follows them from kindergarten all the way, into college, with 82% enrolling this year. That is 4 times the national average. And if that isn't attractive to parents or big businesses that know that there is this program here, Promise Scholars at the Ontario-Montclair School District, that is dedicated to implementing those career pathways and those, pipelines into college to create a robust, educated, technically savvy workforce to remain right here in our region, right? And as one of a good friend of mine and a mutual friend of ours, actually, Dr. Lieberman, president of the University of La Verne, she calls it the brain remain for our region, right? We have so much intellectual talent. It's a gold mine here. So the fact that you're actively pursuing those opportunities for our local students is just I hope everybody takes this model and applies it across the country. This is the framework that every educational system, I believe, needs in order for it to beat the national average, which, as you said, was 20%, and hopefully go towards the 80s, like you so beautifully are working on as we speak.
You're right on the money, Yvette. And just like you mentioned there, Yvette and I are very proud of the airport. And it's winning national awards. And Mark Thorpe, the CEO, has been at Dallas, he's been at LA, he's been at Newark. And he goes, the Ontario International Airport is amazing. Now here you are at the Ontario-Montclair School District, which is massive, with 20,000 little people that you are communicating with from kindergarten. And it just makes my day that you're referring to each one of those kindergartners when you're talking to their parents as scholars. Because when you start to put those positive messages in the minds of the parents, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, it's so powerful. And especially a little person, if you tell them they're a Martian, they're going to think they're a Martian. If you tell them they're a scholar, they're going to think they're a scholar. They don't even know what a scholar is until you tell them what it is, So when you get them really thinking like that at such a young age, and I think that is one of the big shortcomings, that we tend to wait too late, and there's other priorities, at that later age, especially in high school. A lot of work needed to be done before they ever hit high school in terms of getting the mindset right. And Promise Scholars, with your leadership and your team, and when we get back from break here in just a few seconds, you're going to be able to share with the audience who your partners are, where the money comes from, what kind of communications the parents are getting, at what intervals they're getting. You've already given a little taste of a lot of that positivity, but we're going to go down into the real details here momentarily, and everybody needs to stand by because it's really motivating. Because details, you have to have a plan. People don't plan to fail; they fail to plan. And the fact that you have gone through the hard work of putting the plan together, and then helping the parents manage the plan, and then helping the kids really understand the plan, how it change their life, and you, as you said, you are a testament to a teacher focusing on you, talking about a plan and how important the plan is. We'll be right back.
Ontario International Airport is onto a better way to fly, with over 65 daily nonstop flights to more than 20 major destinations and the easiest airport experience in Southern California. Visit flyonto.com/Ontario to learn more about Ontario International Airport today.
Join Daryl McCance and Yvette Walker each Tuesday at 4 p.m. on ABC News Radio, KMET, and Internet KMET TV for the Southern California Business Report. The show highlights successful businesses and individuals behind them. Daryl and Yvette interview the incredible people managing these enterprises that range from awe-inspiring sole proprietors to world-renowned organizations. The Southern California Business Report, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. on KMET AM, FM, and Internet KMET TV.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
The University of La Verne is rated first in California for alumni satisfaction. Learn more about accelerated programs offered online and on campus in La Verne, Irvine, Ontario, Burbank, or College of the Canyons. Visit go.laverne.edu. The University of La Verne. go.laverne.edu.
Being sued and don't know who to turn to? The insurance company won't defend you and your family in a lawsuit? Stress no more. Call the Walker Law Group. We are the law on your side. Just call 909-989-3200. 909-989-3200.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining the Southern California Business Report. We're here with Monica Ayala, Director of Promise Scholars, with Yvette Walker and myself, Daryl McCance. And before we left to break, we promised everybody that we were going to talk about all kinds of things, where the program started, funding, who gets money, how they get it, who gets communications, how do they get it, and much more. So why don't we just turn it over to you, Monica, because you are the expert on Promise Scholars. So tell us, how did it start, and who on your team and the people before you've already mentioned some names. Who is it that you're most proud of, and let's give them a shout out.
I am so thankful and appreciative of our superintendent, Dr. Hammond, our leader, our visionary. He really is he's truly an equity and social justice visionary, because the Promise Scholars, he thought about the idea, shared it by, the first director was Leslie Sorensen, together with our all of our leaders here in our school district, as well as that partnership. Dr. Hammond really partnered up with Superintendent Matt Holton of Chaffey Joint Union High School, as well as the college board presidents for Chaffey, Dr. Shannon and Dr. Carney at the time for San Bernardino, to really make this promise happen. After that, it just kept growing. We do have partnerships. We have great partners that we would love to elaborate and speak about. We do have 3 dedicated staff members who are amazing. They're really the heart of the program. They love interacting with everyone. But it really is collective efforts between everyone in Ontario-Montclair Chaffey Joint Union High School. We have our partners with our Inland SoCal United Way as well. And we have local businesses, local partners, educational partners that really help and support. So it really is not a one person. We all help each other. I am fortunate that, under the leadership of, Leslie, she left so many things in place, and learning about the program and wanting to continue and continue on into ensuring that our students have the services, the supports, and that financial stability as well.
Fantastic. So let's peel the onion a little bit, and let's kind of focus on. You mentioned businesses. Let's put the spotlight. Let's put the spotlight on some of those businesses that have been very loyal to Promise Scholars, and what exactly is their role? How are they interfacing you? I'm looking forward to this part of it. Share that.
So one of our partners, definitely, Inland SoCal United Way, they help and support with the staffing of our members who are, help and support. Before the mergers, they would house them at their facilities. They really help and support as well with just training for our staff, training as far as our HR. So they're a great partner to us. They support with volunteers whenever we have an event. And again, we are really one of the pillars for them. One of the pillars is education, and the goal is to increase that attainment, to break that poverty, that cycle of poverty. So great partners. Another partner that we have before we go on to the businesses really is the City of Ontario. My goodness, it is wonderful. We do have our own city manager, Scott Ochoa, who sits on our board, our foundation board. And he's great. They provide leadership and foster college going in the community by aligning the city services to our youth with economic development, recreation, library services, and of course, our Promise Scholars. We do have Americorps, so they do apply for Americorps grant. The city does receive about 20 to 25 Americorps, and this year we had 4. In the next cycle, we'll have 5 Americorps members who will come back and help and serve our community, and will have direct contact with our seniors, with our students, will be at the schools. And so we currently right now, the City of Ontario is housing our Americorps and our Problem Scholars staff. So it's great to help and support with events such as the Reindeer Run, which is an event that that we host together, so that we can that's part of our fundraising event. We do have hosting community events together. We just had one over the weekend where we helped the city. We have the library. We had recreational services. Promise Scholars were there. Family engagement, our health and wellness, departments were there. So really, it's a collective effort with the city as well. Then we can go on and on about our community college.
Yeah.
Our next partners are Chaffey College. Their partnership it's amazing. They support with they help and support with finding a Chaffey, what we call a success coach. So we have a success coach who is part of that texting program, who and Zooms with students and meets with students to help and support in that transition from high school to that transition into college, to avoid what we refer to as that summer melt. And so we don't want our students to melt away. We want someone there. And so she really helps and support, with supporting with that, with the students, touching base, ensuring that they actually are registered and that they stay there. And so she's a great effort with us. We also, in the past, University of Laverne, they've offered students from their educational counseling department who come and help and support with financial aid applications for our students. So that's been great. Also with Pitzer College, they write letters or cards to our 5th grade scholars. They help and support. They do have a community engagement center, and they will look for interns, for media interns, to help and support with some videos. If you follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, you'll see some great videos, and a lot of that is that support. And we're trying to get a connection with Harvey Mudd. We mentioned about having maybe a field trip to Harvey Mudd, and Jonathan Chan from the community center at Pittsburgh is like, I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna find out for you, Monica. And so again, is those partnerships. We also do have a partnership with the Claremont Evaluation Center. We just completed a phase 3 to ensure that our program it's developed, to ensure that we look closely at the impact of our program, and they make recommendations on our curriculum and our outputs and our engagement. So we have a logic model with them. As far as local businesses and partners, oh my goodness, Southern California Edison, they've in the past have given us grants to support with scholarships for our students in engineering. Bank of America is giving us grants, provide us grants and supports. Again, they support with volunteers as well. We do partner with Crown Toyota here in Ontario. They've been, just great at really advocating and supporting our program. North America Parts, Toyota North America Parts. We put together our yearly golf tournament to help and support with funding. And I will say, shout out to All Star Kia San Bernardino. Every year, they actually donate a car for it to be raffled and be part of that, the reindeer run. And so those are just a few samples of some partnerships that help and develop. And again, it's all collective efforts. I will also give it a big shout out to our Ontario-Montclair Schools Foundation board. Our board, there are volunteers. They have all, jobs in a lot of them in local businesses, Bank of America, Kaiser, Southern California Gas, Gardenas Markets. And so our board are great. They are helping me with fundraising, ensuring that we have enough golfers. They really help and steer the program in the right direction.
I love it. I love it. The program has existed for 10 years now, and the level of impact that you're making with all of the pieces that you're talking about right now, so beautifully integrated to show the results that is beating the national average by 4 times. is absolutely remarkable. So I'm guessing after 10 years, you're going to have some pretty amazing success stories because, things are starting to flourish, right? So please, Monica, share with us some of those success stories. To me, those are some of the most exciting things.
Yes, of course. I do want to also mention we have some of our regional partners. We have our Growing in an Achievement, and they help and support, provide leadership and support for our college going culture. They put together some great action team, networks where you have different regions of the Inland Empire, different colleges, and they help and support with financial aid resources, with knowledge, and also they sponsor us with a wonderful grant to help and support to expand our texting program. So GIA, they've been great. We have a Colleges for You campaign. We're targeting our Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, African American, and Native American students, looking for role models. Also, the IE Community Foundation that helps and supports and help and support manage our disbursements for our scholarships. But success stories. I just heard of one just yesterday. One of at the moment we are looking for Americorps. So students, what they do is they provide a year of service in the Americorps. They'll receive grants, they'll receive trainings, but really they help and support. They come back to the local community. We just had a promised scholar who went off to UCLA and is coming back. And she reached out. She's applying to be an Americorps because she said, Promise Scholars helped me, and I want to come back and give back to my community. Wow. And I was just really touched and really amazed in seeing so many of our students come back to help and support at our high schools. We have seniors and 11th graders who are college ambassadors, who are our mini ambassadors. They're posting on their social media, they're sharing with their friends, they're receiving information, but disseminating it back. So really is that collective effort there. Yes. And they want to give back. They want to ensure that if their friends do not have parents who, went to college for help and support, they're getting that information. They are themselves working together with our Americorps, with our, Promise Scholar staff, and being that bridge. And so that is wonderful to hear. So many of I'm meeting with people, being part of the role. I'm meeting with some of our business partners and some volunteers, and so many people say, gosh, I went to Ontario-Montclair and I want to give back. And so when you know that you can give back, and even if you don't know that, but if you have something to contribute, please reach out to us, whether it's being a presenter, whether it's donating, whether it's volunteering. It really takes a community, community to raise a child. It's really true with Promise Scholars and the foundation and our partnerships and everything that we do. You want to be part of a great team who is really looking at our students, looking at their region, and really wanting to improve and make things happen. That's what we're here for. One of the things that I'm great just listening and hearing about, and a lot of the research, is the fact that we're looking at our 4 academic mindsets. You spoke about mindsets earlier, right. And I think mindset is so important. And I'm so happy that it's part of curriculum, in our schools. But really looking at Promise Scholars, we want all of our students to know that they belong in an academic community. They belong here. They belong to be in an academic community, that their ability grows with their efforts, that they can succeed, and with the work that is happening, whether in the classrooms, whether it's through, the visitors who are visiting a college, all that work has value for them. Because in essence, we want to have that self-efficacy, right? We want to help them improve our region. We want them to come back. We want them, in Ontario-Montclair, a third of our parents do not have high school diplomas. And 89% of them, of our students, qualify for either free or reduced lunch. And so it's, when you look at the statistics, when you look at, the amount of parents, I think it's like 10% of our parents who do have college degrees. When we look at all of that, we want to ensure that students feel supported, that there's a community behind them. And so in essence, that is really what Promise Scholars is all about. So it's not just your school district, because many times scholars, they go into, school becomes their home, right? Their home. But to know that there are volunteers are coming into the schools, mentors, presenters, to know that when they go to local colleges, 2-year colleges, 4-year colleges, they're like, you're a Promise Scholar. We're waiting for you. We're waiting here, right? The promise is that if you complete your requirements to our Chafee Joint Union High School, and you go, into one of our, you apply, you meet your A through G requirements. Guess what? You have a promise that you have a space here, at one of our schools. I was talking to a mom in spring, and I was asking her about her son. He graduated from Chafee High School, and he was going to a community college. And then he said, you know what, Mom? And then I'm going to transfer to Cal Poly. I'm going to become an engineer. And then Mom's like, well, how are you going to get in? Are you? Of course, Mom. I'm a Promise Scholar. Hello, remember?
Out of the mouth of babes.
I love it. And hearing that story, hearing that mom tell me, I just thought, oh my gosh, yes. It's again, the collective efforts of a whole community, whether it's the local colleges, the school districts working together. We have our, businesses, and really our resources, and, resources, our community resources such as, GIA, who help and support with that knowledge and the background and the research. All that is so important to ensure that you're applying research-based, efforts.
For those that just tuned in, we are here with Monica Ayala, Director, Promise Scholars, and their tagline is for kids in community. And if you're listening to this and you're hearing Ontario, Yvette and I talk about this a lot, the power of Ontario. It is a huge city with a huge school district. You shared with the listeners, it's always in the top 1, 2, or 3 in the state, 20,000 little people there. But if you live in some other community, dig into Promise Scholars, look at it, get it implemented in your district. What's wonderful about Ontario, what's wonderful about Monica, you pick up the phone, you can call if you're a parent, if you're an administrator, if you're a teacher. My thing and Yvette Walker's thing is, why reinvent the wheel? Don't reinvent the wheel. You're already plugged in with United Way and you're proud. You're plugged in with Chafee college system, and they have satellite campuses all over the place, and they are taking such amazing care. Dr. Shannon and his team, it's amazing. You mentioned the Claremont colleges, world famous. University of Laverne, don't get me going. What an amazing! We have so many family members that have attended from their law school to, getting their teaching credentials and so forth. So Yvette Walker and I are so proud of you, Monica, and your organization, and Dr. Hammond, and all the team that you have over there. There are no words. There really are no words. And again, the fact that you have taken you have a group of students that, if we look at the national average, it should be a little over 20% of them that immediately enroll in school. And you have it over 80%, and you're shooting for the moon, but it's action, action, action. It's results. Right. You're getting the results. And again, we are talking about the successful businesses and the people behind them. You're one of those people.
That's right.
And you're looking, at delivering something. And we got such a kick out of the mayor at Ontario. He says, if it doesn't make sense, we don't do it. It has to make sense. And they're getting national awards. The city of Ontario, the Ontario International Airport. It's unbelievable what's going on out there. And now you and your team taking this education and taking it from kindergarten all the way into bachelor's degrees, associate degrees, master's degrees, PhDs, really letting these little people know, hey, the world is your oyster. If you want to do it, you want to work hard, and you plant that in their minds as a kindergartner and all the way up through elementary, through junior high. You're plugged into these high school districts. I'm just recapping. I'm just repeating what Yvette and you have just said in the last few minutes. It just knocks me out. I mean, this puts me in such a great mood. And to have that plan and that structure, and like you said, nudges, let's have a little fun. Let's talk about some of that communication. You know what you mean by nudges, Yvette, and I know what you mean by nudges, but let's pretend like no one has ever heard of Promise Scholars, and let's talk about the word communication. So from kindergarten all the way up to year one, you've kind of talked about it. In fact, you got real detailed, but let's just kind of review that. All the different communications, because that's the key. It's communicate, have a plan, and then watch these little people just go right like a rocket right into success. So you know it better than anybody. So take it from there, Monica. Let's talk about communication.
Communication is very important to be able to communicate. As a previous site administrator, that's one of the things that I always wanted our parents to know, the fact that we had high expectations for their students, but in essence, we're going to work together. We're going to work in a team, and part of a team. Well, who's part of the team? Parent, your teacher, community, Promise Scholars. Different schools may have different, college going programs, or may have a distinctive. However, one thing to remember is, and I mentioned it to all of our principals in Ontario-Montclair, is that is great that you have an incentive about, going to college. However, let's really bring in, our Promise Scholars, because Promise Scholars will follow that student from kindergarten all the way to high school and college, because as stated earlier, we're a K-8 district. So after that, students enroll at Chaffey Joint Union High School District. And so where our three high schools, Ontario, Montclair, Chaffey, we do help and support Colony as well. We want to ensure that our students know that there are supports, they're available, and that there are Promise Scholars, and that there is support, there are people. So I spoke a little bit earlier about the Americorps. So the City of Ontario does have a grant. We have our Americorps who receive training from the city and from Promise Scholars. They are housed at a high school. And so they are able to half a day. And so during lunchtime, during their breaks, students are able to go up to them and ask them questions. So you have someone on campus. And again, Raylene Moreno, our high school supervisor, and I met with the three admins of the three different high schools. And they are wonderful to work with. They have so much enthusiasm. They want to support their students. They know that we work as a team. And again, it's those collective efforts between not only the teachers, the parents, the community, our board members, our business partners, our college partners, but ensuring that our students at communication, you're a Promise Scholar, you're a Promise Scholar. These are the programs that you are going to have. This is what you expect to see. I was at a
Beautiful. That is wonderful, Monica. Thank you. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we are going into the end of the show here. But everybody, if you want to hear more about Promise Scholars, all you have to do is go to promisescholars.org. They have a great fundraising event coming up, promisescholars.org. Everybody who's listening and watching today, please don't forget to look for us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Check us out on scbrtalk.com, and don't forget to download the free live streaming app on Google Play or the Apple App Store. Check out our YouTube channel and download our interview with Dr. Camille Adami, a hematologist-oncologist at City of Hope, a comprehensive cancer center in the San Gabriel Valley. Dr. Adami is well-versed in all blood cancers and solid tumors and has led many clinical trials to find better treatments for leukemia, multiple myeloma, and Hodgkin's lymphoma. His practice is in Upland at one of City of Hope's more than 30 locations across Southern California. Next week, we will feature someone from City of Hope that was actually a patient at City of Hope. Her name is Nicole Schultz. She is a social media specialist at the Blood Donor Center at City of Hope. Again, with over 30 locations. Schultz first came to the City of Hope when she was 14 years old and newly diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. In addition to cancer treatments, Schultz received 2 bone marrow transplants, and she can personally attest to why people should donate blood or platelets and how the generous donation can help people who need life-saving treatments. To schedule an appointment to donate blood or platelets, go to cityofhope.org/give-blood. Everybody, see you next week. Don't miss it. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody.
Thank you.